Hey there, ladies and gents. As we close out the year on our journey of learning in digital assets and financial independence, let's level set and recap my top developments of 2021. I'm Corey, and on this channel I help you decode technology and innovation to grow your wealth on the journey to financial independence. So let's take a moment in this video here and reflect on some of the key moments of 2021, which has been a wild year to say the least. First, there were tons of things that happened this year, but I want to highlight from my perspective some of what I think the key developments are. Let me know in the comments what developments in the crypto digital asset space stand out to you. When we began 2021, the loudest narrative and discussions I was having all around was the fact that larger institutions and mass adoption was going to come in 2021. This narrative, while still in progress, has largely played out on schedule. Over the last 12 months, we've seen Bitcoin's market price go from 21,000 range December 16, 2020, and around 48,000 to 49,000 as of the date of this video. While this is currently below the all-time high, the direction of travel for Bitcoin's price, general awareness, and adoption has been moving steadily upward, basically on an exponential curve. Next, as of today, we've got about 36 public companies around the world and 5 nations that have publicly put Bitcoin on their balance sheets. Currently as well, Bitcoin is legal tender in El Salvador, which means there are no capital gains or other taxes on Bitcoin, and it's treated just like cash. Although I thought we would see at least one public company put Bitcoin on their balance sheet at some point in 2021, it never crossed my mind that we would see the level of creativity with the Bitcoin bond offering that they're working on in El Salvador, as well as the use of volcanic energy to mine Bitcoin. It's truly astounding actually when you think about what has happened in the space of just under 12 months. Looking back, it's not surprising to see a smaller nation with a millennial leader doing this. Regardless of what you think of President Nayib Bukele, he is taking an innovative approach to strengthening the finances of El Salvador, especially when you think about the reality of what a nation state's alternatives would be, which is essentially to take out international loans or issue dollar-based bonds of debt and just hope that you can pay them back over time. In this case, the volcano bonds are funding the build-out of the country's infrastructure to hopefully give the nation productive assets going forward after the completion. Love him or hate him, at least he is attempting something with the potential to better the lives of his people and the nation's finances as well. For an in-depth look into what El Salvador is doing with the Lightning Network, I'll put a link to that video above and in the show notes as well, and let me know what you think. Next, we have the launch of spot and futures ETFs for Bitcoin. While the US has lagged behind other nations in allowing its citizens to hold spot Bitcoin in an ETF product, other nations such as Canada and Singapore, among others, have powered ahead. To me, one of the biggest stories of this year is the fact that Fidelity Investments, the Boston, Massachusetts-based asset manager founded in 1946, had to launch its spot Bitcoin ETF product in Canada because the SEC in the US has effectively refused to approve any spot ETF applications for Bitcoin products. To me, this really says a lot about the internal political wrangling going on in Washington, D.C. on this topic, and that Washington is at risk of being left behind since Bitcoin is an innovation for the world and not just one nation. Interestingly, the Fidelity Advantage Bitcoin ETF, which is the product launched by Fidelity in Canada, offers secure storage of Bitcoin for Canadian residents and is a registered retired savings plan, which is an RRSP, and it's also eligible as a tax-free savings account, TFSA. For folks in the US, the registered retired savings plan is similar to a 401k, and the tax-free savings account is similar to the Roth IRA, with differences of course. The key point is that in Canada, you're allowed to hold physical Bitcoin in your tax advantage account in the most user-friendly way possible for your average investor. In contrast, in the US, the best you can do is GBTC, which is a trust that holds Bitcoin, or BITO, which is a futures contract product, and neither are ideal when compared to holding physical Bitcoin in a true spot ETF like the Fidelity ETF that's now in Canada. Check out my video on GBTC versus BITO in the link above, and I'll put it in the show notes below. To get the inside scoop on registered retirement savings plans and tax-free savings accounts in Canada, check out my friend Stefan Den, who've got you covered. I'll put the links to the video above and the show notes below. To round out, we have the movement of Bitcoin miners out of China and the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that has caused, which turned out to be a nothing burger for the Bitcoin network, but a real boon for Bitcoin mining industries across the United States, particularly in Texas and in Wyoming, among other states. Also, I will be remiss without discussing NFTs. One cannot leave out NFTs taking off and becoming a household term, followed by the use of the word Web 3.0, which in my opinion, Web 3.0 is already overused for the second time in history. Check out my video to see why I say Web 3.0 is overused and it's the second time. Hint, it was first used in 2006. Of course, Much more has happened this year, but these are my core standouts. Let me know in the comments, what is your top digital asset or crypto moment of 2021? Is this the year that you first got involved, or have you been involved for a long time? Join me on the path to decoding technology and innovation to grow your wealth on the journey to financial independence. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time.